Good evening and welcome to the Portsmouth School Board, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Tuesday, May 8, 2007, here at the City Hall. I'm going to ask the superintendent for the roll call, please.
Regarding attendance this evening, please. Nancy Noveline Clayburgh.
Here.
Sherry Ham Garrity.
Here.
Clay Hayward.
Here.
John Lyons.
Here.
Brendan Restano. Mitch Childman.
Here.
Carson Smith.
Here.
Ann Walker.
Here.
Linda Burlett.
Here.
Ann Mayer.
Here.
Kent LePage.
Here. In a moment, I'm going to ask that Ann Walker lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. But as we stand for a moment of silent reflection, let's keep all those that are less fortunate in memory tonight, in our memories, and also keep in the Eastman family. Gary Eastman, a longtime teacher of Portsmouth High School Science Department, in fact, a very outstanding physics teacher and well recognized throughout the region, passed away after only 2 years of retirement from the Portsmouth school system and had 32 years as a teacher within the system. Greatly missed. Knew Gary very well. I wish, and I work with his wife at many track meets. She's a state track official that I work with. So please keep the Eastmans in your thoughts tonight as we rise for a moment of silent reflection and then the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes of the April 10th, 2007 meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded?
Comment.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I made a note here. Which one are you looking at? Maybe I'm looking at the wrong one.
Is it on the public?
Oh, I'm looking for the minutes. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. I had one correction.
Nancy's going to tap dance while you find him.
What one we doing? April 11th?
Yeah, it's
No,
April
April
10th.
10th.
The public hearing is April 11th. That's next.
On page 4, under committee reports, Mr. Lyons said he was asked by Senator Gregg in support of the governor's proposed motion. That would have been, there was no Senator Gregg. I was asked to speak in support by the governor's office. So I very easily could have misspoken, and then I did say our state senator is one of the sponsors of the bill, but it should not be by Senator Gregg.
Okay. So noted. Correction.
Kent, on page 3 of the same minutes,
Page 3.
the speaker at the top, it says Mr. Nick Booth. His name is Nathan. Nathan Booth is his name.
What paragraph? I'm sorry.
Way at the top where it says
Oh, I
comments
got
about
it.
the
Yeah,
screening
Nathan.
program.
So noted.
Thank you.
Any other corrections, deletions, or omissions? See none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next is the approval of the minutes of the April 11th public hearing. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Correspondence tonight. Any correspondence you wish? There is a thank you from the annual thank you from Mary Carey Foley for Student Government Day. From Mary Carey Foley, is there a motion to place on file?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Also, we've got our usual letter from Prescott Park. We used to do a lot of the, and Patty was always in charge, so I look to my left here in regards to helping out during one night, but things have changed a little bit at Prescott Park, but again, they're asking for our involvement. Motion to place on file.
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any other correspondence? Seeing none. As you know, during our retreat, we asked for a little bit of a change to this to make sure we are better heard as individuals on the board. And we calling it, and we may change the title. We called it an agenda approval, where you want kind of the word other. When we looked at it, didn't really fit there. But if you have any other items to put in before we approve the agenda, please note tonight.
question, though.
Yes.
That's to talk about tonight.
That's tonight, correct.
Where
And
would-
we'll still do other at the end for the next agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, this is tonight. If there were any things that any board member wished to bring in. John?
Will we be getting, Mr. Superintendent, notes from our retreat? Is ML putting those together?
Yes, she is. She went away for a week after she met with us, but she said when she returned, she'd send the notes to me, and we'll get them out to the board.
Because I know she came up with a number of different ideas, even our, the part of the agenda that we just did. So I think we're starting in the right direction, but I would ask that we get those notes, and when we get them, maybe we have a board discussion so that perhaps the public can hear it as well and know what we talked about at our retreat.
Nancy?
I would just like to just report about Portsmouth Listens, if that's okay, maybe 2
Tonight?
minutes tonight.
Yep. That will come under continuing business
Yeah, I guess so.
or committee reports, I'll put it under. Okay? Any other items for tonight? If not, is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public commentary. This is a record. I don't think I've ever had a night where there's one, and that's our speaker tonight, in the whole audience. It must be that it's 82 degrees outside, and
Right.
I think we're a little envious of all those that aren't here tonight. So no public commentary tonight. I declare it closed. Items for discussion. We have the school nutrition program, Pat Laska and Steve Bartlett. You doing it? Yeah. Good evening, Pat.
Good evening. Thank you all for inviting me here to explain about my program. I'm very happy to have the opportunity. And it kind of coincides, this is Child Nutrition Employee Appreciation Week, so it's kind of neat to be able to represent my employees here tonight also. I know in the packets that you get every month, you do get the elementary menus, and you probably know that the middle school and high school menus are posted on the web page under the city. So we direct students there if they ever have questions, or teachers who want a copy of the menu, they're welcome to go there every month. What I wanted to discuss with you is the fact that of the budget of almost $750,000, actually a little more, the program raises the funds that we spend on food and labor and miscellaneous supplies. A lot of people don't know the history of the school meals program, and for those of you who are new on the board, I'll just give you a quick little in 1946, after World War II, the school meals program was started by members of Congress because they realized that during the war, there were a lot of soldiers coming on board who had health issues that were dietarily related. For instance, not growing well, or poor teeth and rickets and all of those kinds of things. And they decided that one of the ways they could help the children of America is to feed them in school. The other part of the school meals program is that it started out as a farm support program, because when farmers had excess crops, in order to keep the prices high for the farmer, the government purchased the products, and then they had products to dispose of, and so they decided the military is one place where they send these foods. School meals is the other place. So those of you who remember school meals when you were young, peanut butter was there before, and it still is there. Butter is no longer part of the school meals program, although it used to be. It's because there is now a worldwide market for the butter fat. Wheat, we still get flour, but a lot of schools have gone to not baking from scratch because it's more affordable to buy your bakery ready-made from a baker, and it costs labor to produce things from scratch. And a lot of the school districts who have gone to more scratch meal preparation, they've realized that it takes labor hours to do that kind of thing. So there are a lot of reasons for why things have changed in school meals. Those of you also remember that when you were a youth, you went through the line, if you had a meals program at all at your school, and you took what was served to you and they served you everything. Well, then there were complaints that there was a lot of waste, so they said, okay, we'll have offer versus serve. You only have to take 3 out of the 5 components of a meal to make it be reimbursable and to get the vitamins and minerals and protein and calories that you need. And I just lost my train. It will come to me. The other part about the school meals is the choices. Children today are much more avid consumers than we were when we were youths. Those of you know you go out to eat more now than you did 20 or 25 years ago. There's just a lot more opportunity. So students come to the school meals program and they don't want just one choice. They want a variety of things to choose from. So every day at the elementary level we have usually 2 hot items and then cold sandwiches and cold other items. For instance, you can take yogurt and another protein source, so it can be peanuts in a cup or cheese sticks or sunflower seeds. I was going to bring a sample of sunflower seeds to you tonight, but I didn't. But anytime you want to come to the school and have lunch with us, you'll see the variety that's there, and we don't always list that on the menu. The challenges of running the school meals program, Steve Bartlett belongs to the New Hampshire ASBO, which is Association of School Business Officials, and I am involved in the School Nutrition Association of New Hampshire, and we decided that it would be really good to partner because we need to work closer together. So his group, the man in charge of programming, asked my group to come and speak, and we decided to call it the Challenges of Running a School Meals Program. And we had a little survey that was available in the national magazine that I receive, and it said, what are your 3 biggest challenges in your program of running your school meals program? And we did not get a hands show of votes about what people said, but when you pool a group of people, generally finances is the number one problem, because if you don't run a financially successful program, you're going to run into all kinds of other problems. So we are a business within the school system, and a lot of people don't realize that. They think that the government gives us all the food that we use in the meals program, and they don't. The government commodities that we receive are only 10% roughly of the money we spend on food. And for instance, next week I'm getting something called pork crumbles. Well, what that is ground pork, which is already cooked, right, yummy. So now it's a challenge for me to try to use that product. So they were going to send me 11 cases. I decided to take only 4 because we don't have spaghetti with meat sauce on the menu all the time. And if you look at the elementary choices, we have choice 1 and choice 2. Choice 1 is generally the most popular item, and then choice 2 is often government foods that we need to use, and so we have to get creative as to how to employ these products in our program. The one, you'll see we have pork roasts. Well, all the teachers love pork roasts, but how many students get pork roasts at home except on a holiday? So there is a percentage of students who enjoy that meal, but it's small. And because we are a business, we have to offer the customer what they will buy, and pork roast is not high on the list. I get complaints a lot about how often we have pizza on the menu, but we don't tell everybody that it's whole wheat crust, because then they would turn up their nose at it. So we do use whole wheat crust. We use low-fat cheese, and we have varieties of it, and that's not the only thing out there. They can choose other things. It's just that pizza happens to be one of the most popular foods in America, or in the city of Portsmouth. And the second are chicken products. We have a lot of chicken products. Everybody complains that pretty soon they're going to cluck, but they buy those chicken products. So that's why we offer it. The other part that a lot of people don't realize is that in my program, we spend more on labor than we do on food. And the other thing that the business administrators or business officials discussed is just what does the district cover for the program and what does the program cover? And it's not consistent throughout the state. People have different philosophies. Should you raise lunch prices? That was a big topic in the question and answer period, because people said, we don't think you should raise prices every year. You should keep your lunch prices as low as possible so the most people can take advantage of the program. Well, ever since I've been here, this is my 4th year now, we have raised prices every year to go along with the cost of buying the food and paying the labor that we have. If we didn't raise prices, we'd be in the hole. what was a big blow to the program is the 6 months that the high school kitchen was not in operation when construction was going on, because what happened is we had to prepare foods in other schools and truck it in, and then we didn't have the a la carte sales. We basically only had meal sales available, and we did sell a lot of meals, but the a la carte sales really helped the program financially. So we dipped into our fund balance that year. Then the second year we dipped into the fund balance again, but it was not quite as severe. It was half as what we had done the first year. So then the third year was the year that we had to come to you and ask if we could borrow some money to pay our summer labor bills, and then we paid that money back. So essentially, money in is money out. And this year we've been excited because we don't have to wait until May to pay our March bills. We paid our March bills in March, we're paying our April bills in April, we're paying our May bills in May. So we're ahead of the game. So we're very excited about that. How did we get to that point? Well, last year I had a little talk with all my managers, and I said, you know, we have to operate as though we are a management company. And what a management company will do is they will set performance standards for you, and you need to sell more meals, because if you have the same labor working, by selling more meals, you increase the income, and that's how to handle it. Now, some of the challenges for us in doing that is it's not so much that we have students able to leave the high school during lunchtime. It's the fact that we expect to serve most of the students in one 40-minute lunch. We are the only high school in the district, in this whole part of the state, really, that has one lunch for 1,100 students. And when I tell my fellow directors that, they go, oh my God, how do you do it? And I said, well, it's not easy. It's a challenge to us, because within, you know, I've been going to the high school a lot just to check things out, you know, management by walking around, and the lines by 11 o'clock are gone. We have a 40-minute lunch. The first 20 minutes, there are lines. But it just makes sense. If you've got 400 people coming to 4 registers, we get 100 people a register through in 10, 15 minutes. McDonald's doesn't even do it that fast. So I think we're meeting those performance standards. The other is you want to know about our free and reduced participation. This year we are 21% free and reduced. We only serve about 10% of our students breakfast. And I've done a little survey at some of the schools to find out why more students don't eat breakfast. And it's kind of a New England thing where they feel very much that they should be feeding their children breakfast at home. And they get kind of insulted that you're implying that they might not feed their children breakfast at home. I surveyed the middle school students last week, and you know, you have to take this at face value, but 2/3 of them said they ate breakfast at home before they came to school. So that means 1/3 of them want to eat breakfast at school or aren't hungry. Of the free students eligible for breakfast at the middle school, only 35% of them take breakfast. So that's a free breakfast. Only 35% of them take it. So I've been working with my staff to try to get more people to eat breakfast, and I've been talking to John so that we can kind of work together, because we all know that a well-fed child will have a mind who can pay attention to the studies that are going on much better than a hungry child can. The lunch participation is better. At the elementary schools, it's 60 to 65%. We could do more. I would like to serve more. At the middle school, we serve about 45% of our students' lunch, and at the high school, it's about 25% of our students. That kind of follows the national trend. At the high school, you serve the least, and part of it is the fact that they can get up and leave, and they want to. Today was a perfect example. I mean, if I had a car and could have escaped school for a little while, I would have done it. It's not so much what we're offering. It's the fact that it's the freedom and the joy of leaving and coming back. At the middle school, we've been working also, and part of my problem there is just the physical plant. You know, we've tried putting new curtains up, we've tried buying new milk coolers, but, you know, when you go in there and look, it just looks old and tired. And if I had my wishes, I would spend a lot of money at renovating the appearance of that. The other thing I would do is I would spend more money on equipment. I have a lot of really old equipment. I have a steamer that does not work at Dondero and one that does not work at Little Harbor. As a result, we've switched the satelliting, and now the high school, which has new equipment, is where we cook the food and we drive it to the schools that need, for instance, spaghetti sauce. We have one recipe and they make it at the high school and we deliver it to the elementaries. There's a few other things, but that's why we are doing that. So under the challenges of running the school meals program, I put a little bit on the bottom about that's not all. I think the institutional image of school meals, pork crumbles don't help for sure, but just the fact that there is so much bad press out there about, school meals are making kids fat. Never mind that they drive to Dunkin' Donuts and buy a 20-ounce iced coffee with all kinds of who knows what in it and come to school with it in their hand at the high school. Society, we know, does not move as much as they used to. Even though we'd like children to walk to school, a lot of them drive. All of those things come into play, so it's not just what we are eating. School meals are part of the solution to the obesity problem. We offer the correct portion sizes, although if you talk to some of the middle school kids, they wish that we had more food for less money. And, some of the big guys at the high school think that too. They would like more food. But we have the correct portion size. We meet nutrient standards. We have to, or we wouldn't be getting our money from the government. School meals can help students maintain a healthy weight. School meals are safe. I don't know whether you've been reading part of the wellness plan, but not only do we need to have a wellness policy that we follow as a district, but the other thing is I have to have 2 safety or health and safety inspections a year. We only used to have 1. We used to get 100s on our little food service safety test. So they didn't come to see us if they didn't have to, because we were doing well. They'd rather go to the restaurants that had real issues going on. But now, I called Kim a couple months ago and I said, I need 2 inspections. You're due to come in. And she goes, well, it's funny because I was going to come and see you tomorrow. So they came in and did their inspections, and we did very well. They had a couple of minor things, and sometimes they were custodial issues, like a cover to go on a light. That's something that, it wasn't the health and safety of the food. It was other issues in the kitchen. And the custodial staff is very good about working with us and correcting these issues immediately. So that's great. We do have a wellness policy that some of you on the committee have worked on. And because the wellness policy needs to be a consensus among all of the school community, I think it's going to take time to phase it in. We're not going to come in and wham, bam, which has happened in some districts. Like Nashua, they met within a year and they had a really strict policy. It controlled all the foods sold on school grounds except the Stello Stadium. School stores were affected, everything. There's a big push nationwide to not allow bake sales because you have no idea how clean the kitchen was that this food was prepared in. Some districts are now only allowing packaged goods to be sold if you're going to sell food at school. During the Student Government Day, I had some students come to visit me, and they wanted to know why there were no more bake sales at the high school during lunch. And I said, thank goodness there are not. First of all, nutritionally, it's much better that a student come and buy a lunch than to buy a cookie. We all love cookies. I like cookies too. So it's not the issue, but if you want our program to be a financially viable program, competitive food sales hit us. The only thing I can sell to raise money is food. Fundraising groups can sell a lot of other things, even services, car washes. I sent Bob a 7-page list of alternative fundraisers to food because, people need their money to run certain programs, and I am fully aware of that. But we can work together so that there are health or wellness-related activities for raising funds, not just the sale of food. And I think that I have talked long enough, so now I will open it up to some questions.
Questions for Pat? Nancy?
Would you like to see 2 lunches at the high school instead of
I would
1?
like to see 2 lunches at the high school.
I know, just having 2 children at the high school, the complaint with my daughter is not that the lines are long when you first get there. What a lot of kids do will get their lunch and then go to get extra help from a teacher or go to a club meeting or whatever. So she doesn't want to wait in the line because that's going to make her late for the meeting. So she doesn't buy her lunch right now because of that. You know, she brings it from home, actually, because then she doesn't have to even think about waiting in the line. But if she didn't have to, then she would. So I think 2 lunches would help. Do you think closing the campus would have that? I mean, it's really, they say it's only like 40 kids, technically, that are actually leaving.
Well, if you've ever entered the high school when lunch starts and counted the cars and how many students are in them, it's more than 40.
Okay.
You know,
Probably
'cause,
40 cars. And
40 cars, and some of them have 6 students in them. And I've also seen the street that's blocked off. Somebody drives out and stops and picks up kids that didn't have the passes. They just go under the gate and out and jump right in. You know, they can't be everywhere. So, and the kids are pretty clever. So it's more than 40 students that leave. So your question was, you know, would I like to see a closed campus? Any district that has a closed campus, they have more lunch participation. It's just they're hungry, so they're going to buy from you. But I think if you were to weigh the 2 that would help the program the most, I think 2 lunches would help the most.
And I just had another question. The free and reduced lunch number, is that going up in
It was
Portsmouth?
20% last year. It's 21% this year, so a slight increase in the free students.
Has that been a trend that it's been going up? Do you know? You've only been here a couple of years, so.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
been between 20 and 22% in the 4 years I've been here, so it's
So it's steady.
pretty steady, really. Yeah.
Other questions? Mitch?
Thank you. So what you're saying is that what it costs the district to run the program, you pretty much bring in.
Correct.
And have done so for the 4 years that you've been here?
It was long before I came, it was run that way. And I know that I'm going to just say it, there's talk about a management company coming in. They don't do it for free. They expect to be paid. And they would love to come into Portsmouth because we are a well-run program. They don't want to go into a program that's losing hundreds of thousands of dollars because they have to recoup that. Portsmouth is holding our own, and if you read the national journals about what's going on in school meals, everybody is having a struggle because healthcare costs are going up, labor costs are going up. You have to pay your people a fair and living wage. And it's hard for me to find people who want to work 2.5 hours a day. I mean, they are people who obviously aren't depending on my position for their sole source of income. It's just an extra because you can't raise a family on that kind of income.
And how many people do you have?
There are 19 people in the program. I'm the 20th.
They all work part-time, you work full-time?
I work full-time. My managers work 7 hours
7 hours a week?
a day,
Okay.
7 hours a day. I have cooks that work 6 hours. I have bookkeepers, and then I have school food assistants. Those are the categories of employee. The managers are not union. The other 3 categories are union employees. They're covered by the city contract.
The managers are covered by the city contract?
No,
They're
the
not.
other people.
The other
Managers are not union.
The cooks are part of the city contract?
Cooks are city contract. Bookkeeper, city. School food assistant is city contract.
Okay.
Bob?
I'd just like the board to know that we're beginning to work with the policy committee to bring some uniformity with the policies around the issue of vending machines. Because vending machines, and maybe Pat would like to address that, is another area that, because they're managed by different
Entities.
entities, thank you, not all the money goes into the food service program. So that's something we're looking at, as well as making sure they're all shut off at lunchtime so that doesn't interfere with the lunch program. So we cut down on those choices as well. But the good news is that in the vending machines, we don't sell soda and we don't sell unhealthy snacks and those kinds of things. So, but that is a source of revenue not going into the food service program, especially at lunchtime, is an issue.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Bob. If a management company would come in, that's another thing they would do, is they would take over all vending machines. Right now, there are 8 machines at the high school that are not, well, there's more than 8, but there's 8 that I know of in the vending room that are not operated by food service. We have the 4 machines that are in the cafeteria, and the rest of the machines in the district, in the high school, are not operated by food service. In the middle school, there are 5 machines in the cafeteria. 2 of them are operated by food service. The other 3 are operated by the principal. All the teachers' rooms have vending machines, and how they are handled in each school is different. Little Harbor has one vending machine in the hall that is accessible to students, and that money goes into programs that they have at the school. So I do nothing with the vending machines in the teachers' rooms. A lot of the friends that I have in other districts, they've worked out deals where food service controls the machines, and they give a percentage of the income to the principals or the school or whoever accesses those funds.
Ann, and then Steve, and then John.
Pat, I'm delighted that you're breaking even this year and maybe even a little ahead. Any special reason that you can attribute this to?
We cut labor drastically. I mean, if you speak to any of my staff, they are not happy that we're so close to the bone on labor. But that's what a management company would do. I mean, you work, there's no rest. And if any of you have ever wanted to get a physical workout, be in the school kitchen for a day. I'll tell you, it's very tiring. I really admire what those people do all day long. I'm grateful when I don't have to go in and help them, but sometimes I do, because we just don't have that many subs. That's the other thing, is I only have 3 subs, and one of them, she's been retired from us 6 years, and she still comes in to sub, thank goodness.
And my experience was they do it pretty cheerfully, too.
They do, yes. They have good attitudes,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Steve Bartlett, John Lyons. Terry?
I just wanted to point out and then just sort of back up a little bit of Pat's information, in that the food service program, even though it got shut down for that 6 months, had built up a fund balance. And although on a year-to-year profitability basis for a couple of years it has lost money, it's been within the fund balance that it had built up. When she talks about the money to help pay the bills, that was merely a loan. That was a cash flow situation. That wasn't a profitability situation. A lot of things contribute to that. It's like been cut in half every year, so we're going in the right direction. And a lot of it, some of it is the policy piece. A big piece of it is eliminating the bake sales. That was one policy that could be done on an administrative level, and we did. And I think there was a big turnaround in that. We still do need some help on the board policy level to try to level the playing field, if you will. And there are certainly alternatives that can be done for fundraising. There can be cooperative efforts between the vocational food service program and the vending machines and the food service program throughout the state, and actually, working in 2 states over the years. They're all run a little bit differently because it depends upon the character of the schools. It depends on the character of the district. There are some districts that will subsidize the program because they have a certain level of expectation, and it's been proven that those levels of expectation can't be met using commodities and things like that, because if you stop and think, the reason there are excess commodities that somebody didn't want them, supply and demand, so therefore we get to use the stuff that nobody else could figure out how to use in the first place. So it is a challenging situation, but we do still need some continuing support and help on a policy basis to try to level the playing field and try to get some more cooperative stuff. And as Pat said, yeah, you could have come in and made a big change, but we're trying to ease it in, and I think the changes that we've made over the past couple of years has reduced the the loss for that year, and we're going in the right direction. And we're hopeful that this year will be a break-even year. It may not be, because you never know between now and the end of the year how participation is going to be, because when the weather gets warmer, sometimes things change. But we certainly didn't have any real disasters during the wintertime to slow things down. The other thing is as some of the cash registers that have been around for a long time have died, we've worked on replacing them with the same type of a system, point of sale system that they have at the high school in the new program. George Shea would be the first one to tell you how excited those elementary kids are to be able to go up with a card or a number. I mean, and it increased the participation, feeding the kindergarten kids lunch. All these things go to contribute to making things better, and we're trying to modernize them. So I think if we're able to keep going forward, I think we can get the program to a level that it should be and that everybody can be happy with.
John?
Pat, have you looked at the possibility of leveraged buying with other districts for some of your supplies, and can you tell us a little bit about that?
I am part of the New Hampshire Cooperative Food Buying Group. There are 11 districts involved: Concord, Laconia, Franklin, Salem, Londonderry, Newmarket, Oyster River. We're all part of a buying group, and we put our groceries out to bid. We're having our bid opening June 6th in Portsmouth. We meet a few times a year. We critique products. We know that by buying cooperatively, we have gotten good deals. We always go out to bid because it's always good for everybody to sharpen their pencils. And in fact, the man from Laconia believes that he's even spent less on food this year just because of the good breaks that we've gotten with our food buying. It's really kind of hard to equate that in terms of if you're selling more meals, you're going to spend more on food and how to break it all down. But I know figuring out what we spend on food per meal, it varies with the building.
Well, I think as a nutritionist, an educator, and a businesswoman, you wear all three hats pretty well. I think you're doing a good job under difficult circumstances with a smile on your face. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sherry?
Hi, Pat. I know you and I have spoken a couple of times about the lunch program, and I was just wondering, I know, was it the parent teachers, or I know Jeff Collins has had a meeting with most likely you and other staff, and I was wondering if there were any in particular ideas of things that you guys were going to be using for the future as far as changes or processes that you might want to address, or anything that he had from where he worked before, or...
Well, I know that Jeff used to work in Nashua, and Nashua was very involved in the one of the first places in the state to come up with a really strict wellness policy. Frankly, Jeff and I haven't really seen each other much except in the cafeteria, and he does buy our lunches, I'm happy to say. I had more meetings with the students through Student Government Day about what they want. I did contact one of the teachers who does fundraising at the high school, and I said that, I would be happy to go over this list with you so that you can have some ideas to give the students. Like they were saying, they thought bake sales were the only thing, and then they remembered that they used to sell pencils, and they raised a lot of money selling pencils because students always seem to need a pencil, and that's a great way for them to raise money. I know there's been talk of school stores, and that's a whole other area where competitive food sales occur, and if they want to have food in a school store, let's hope that they sell it not when lunch and breakfast are being run.
And one other.
But it'd be better if they didn't even sell food. There's other things that they can sell.
And last but not least, is there one particular area, like elementary, middle, or the high school, where there's more challenges or it's harder to run the program overall?
Every area is unique, and I think at the high school, the students, because they have cars and they can hit a drive-through on the way in, it's more difficult to reach them. Also, nothing that can be changed at this time, but the cafeteria is very remote from the rest of the building. And even though for wellness everybody's supposed to be walking all the way down there, they tend to bypass us. And I know when the school was first designed, I was told that the drop-off for students was going to be in the back of the building so that they would come through the cafeteria on their way to class. And that doesn't happen right now. They get dropped off at the circle. And some students come to see us, but not as many as we. This year, I must say, talking about breakfast participation, she serves twice as many breakfasts this year as she did last year. And part of it is the change in personnel. But part of it is she's been baking fresh muffins every morning so they smell them when they come in. And, just asking the kids what they want and serving them more of what they want to come to see us to buy. And again, I hate to make it sound like all I care about is the money, but I've been told that if I don't make it, I'm going to be broken. So my original intention is the nutrition of students, but it also helps to have a financially viable program. So.
I guess I just have a few things, Pat. What's the average cost of a meal at the high school? What's the, the
The
students?
$2.35 is what we charge for a reimbursable lunch, a meal deal.
Okay. So we have 65% of the students at the elementary school that buy a lunch, 45 at the middle school, and 25. So that means that we only have, out of the 1,100 students buying, or 1,100 students possible of buying, you have 250 students a day going through. I know some of them get lunch, breakfast also. So.
We sell about 400 pieces, but 280-ish roughly are reimbursable meals. The rest are a la carte. So in other words, if they don't want to buy a pizza, a milk, and a fruit, they can just buy a slice of pizza.
So we're still less than 50 percentile at the high school on purchasing.
Right.
And, again, you're given a tough task with pork bits or whatever they may send you. And the business side of me, we've talked in general about this over the last couple of years. When do we need to do a long-range planning on this? The 2 to 3 year type planning, or maybe 2 to 5 year type planning. And that might, and again, I don't like to bring up anybody thinking that jobs are in jeopardy, but the Chartwells, the Cisco's, and a number of these companies out there to work in tangent. Jeff Collins, one of the things you left out, Nashua has Chartwell.
No.
Yeah, one of their schools, Nashua South or North, when they divided, went with one of them.
Well,
I'm sorry, maybe it was Salem when he worked there. He had told me one of them he had worked with.
because Nashua used to be in our buying group with us, and I know the director there,
Yeah.
and they are not Chartwells, they're self-operate, self-op. Salem is self-op as far as I know.
Okay, when he talked to me, he said, and
Maybe they considered it.
Yeah, it might be. Well, the discussion is that we come close on your program, which is not fair to you, because one of the reasons I don't believe in open campus, there are a few things, is I don't believe we should be subsidizing outside of the school grounds. We have a responsibility when the students come on ground, and you would go up at least, I would say, maybe 20 more meals. Those 20 more meals make a big difference financially towards you. And I just would love for us to work unified with you to have a couple of examples, whether it be, and Chartwell's the only one that comes to mind, because I know they do Rochester, I believe. That's the only school I know in the area.
Cafe Services is another group that's in the New Hampshire area.
Right. And I think if, Steve and Bob could at least enter into discussion with you, chairing that type of discussion, looking at a 5-year plan, because if we're down to 25% of the students at the high school, maybe that's as low as it will go, but I hate to see us dancing so close financially on a program that we put you at a disadvantage at. And it may be that they just work in tangent with ideas and, purchasing. I know that Marriott does many schools outside of the New England area. Marriott comes in and does an outstanding job. They keep the whole staff there. It's the buying and the selecting, and they get their government reimbursements, and I don't want to even try to understand it. But they're highly successful. And again, do you think, doing a 5-year plan, saying, nope, we never will need an outside vendor, or maybe we need to work in tangent, or maybe by the end of 5 years, to be competitive, that might be where we need to be. Again, some type of plan on that, because I fear, even though the high school, when it was being renovated, it was nobody's fault. It had to be done, and it took a hit. And thank God we had that reserve of your fund there, because if you didn't, some of the financial issues that we're dealing with now would be, at a higher rate. I mean, because it all comes out of our liability back to the city. So again, just in general, would you be willing to work with Steve and Bob, or maybe it's Steve and Steve, on something like this, to look at a 5-year plan and what a 5-year plan would look like so that we can service more students? Because on the other hand, if you're successful and you go from 250, 400 students being serviced meals to another 100, the line that Nancy just talked about with her daughter and so forth just gets worse. And again, you have to plan it with at the high school with Steve Bartlett. And again, I'm a little surprised. I didn't think the middle school was going to be quite that low. They're below 50% too. And again, a lot of people bring a bag lunch, and that might be a good thing. But on the other hand, how can we get that up even 5% or 10%?
I'll tell you, one of the things that would really help my program would be to get point of sales in all of the schools. I would really love to get it at the middle school, because we found at New Franklin, we even have more free students eating with us because they think they have a credit card, and they they flash that little thing there and they come through the line. And the middle school is a tough age. There's the peer pressure, there's a lot of I'm not hungry when I wake up in the morning kind of thing. But I think the image of school food would be improved if we didn't have tickets and checklists, if we had the computerization, if parents had the ability to pay other than with cash or check.
Right. And that's a big problem, because I know people have that constant problem. And I think that's a great part of that, 5-year plan. Within 1 year, I would love to see all the schools, and it would be easier management for you.
It's been part of my plan ever since I've been here to get point of sales in all the schools. It's just that, we had to pay for it, and that's a problem. And I even called the company and said, could you prorate it so we could pay you a little bit every year? And they told me to go get a municipal loan. So no, they don't take partial payment. But I've written a grant. Healthy New Hampshire sent around notices, and I wrote it to go along with the school breakfast program at the middle school, because I really would like to see more students eating breakfast at the middle school. And one of the things I threw in there is, help towards the point of sale. I don't know if I will receive any of the money, but it's worth a try. And when I was in New York, we got the point of sale at my middle school, and it was a $7,000 investment. It paid for itself in the first year.
I think that's what you need to do, and I really appreciate it. And again, I hope you can work with Bob and Steve, and, maybe get it some type of a plan. And I think that's what I know I'd feel a lot more comfortable with.
Yeah, well, it's been on there, and that's good to know. And then the last thing that we've done is, we've made our web page presence a lot more savvy and a lot more appealing than it was before. So, because advertising, I don't have big money for advertising, and I am not a marketer, but we need to tell people the good things that we're doing, and the web presence is one way. And I don't think it's a bad idea to have a 5-year plan. Bob has seen my goals, and he knows what I've done and what I'm trying to do. And but it's kind of hard when you're financially unable to afford what you wish.
Thanks, Pat. John.
Mr. Chair, we've hit our 15-minute
Yes,
mark,
30
and
minutes
I
ago.
participated in the questions as well, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Pat.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat.
Bring it-
I think I'm supposed to be the timer.
Yes, you are now.
Yeah,
I
Nancy.
will, I'll start timing.
Bob, under school security update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very, very quickly, just an update, additional information about the Sentry systems, the security cameras that we've talked about through the donation of a donation from Crime Stoppers. The middle school is equipped. New Franklin School is equipped. The PASS program is equipped. Little Harbor School was finished today, I believe. Dondero, they're working on, the high school is finished because they already had security. And central office will be the last building. All of these buildings have cameras outside and buzzes for people to go to the door. All the principals have sent letters out to parents, have worked with the PTAs, the PTOs, and they're all operational, and We have been doing this for a couple of weeks now in New Franklin and the middle school. And I would just like to say that we will continue that. These are the doors are locked during the school day while the students are in session. That it's a different situation once school ends. But once school begins and until school is out, the doors will be locked. And the last thing I'd like to say is we appreciate the patience and the assistance with the parents and people, the vendors who come to the schools, because this is all new to everyone. And we are always conscious and vigilant about the fine line between school security and still having our schools being welcoming communities. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Questions? Ann, then Mitch.
I just want to thank Dr. Lister for attending to this as quickly as he has. But I know that we had a lot of parents from Newington who were really concerned about the middle school and the safety in that building. So Bob responded very quickly. Thank you.
Mitch.
So just two quick questions. So where are all these cameras monitored? How does that work? Is every school in each school building, or is it central to the district? Or is that...
It's in each school building. So you would go to the door, there's a small buzzer with a camera. You would push the buzzer, someone will ask you who you are, but you appear on camera somewhere there, and usually there are 2 or 3 stations in each one of the buildings. The principal's office or the secretary's office. And once you identify yourself and they can see you, and Dr. Schultzman, they'd probably let you in. You just go,
and they're not doing their job well.
You can enter the building, and they ask everyone to make sure they come right to the office to sign in and get a visitor's pass.
Well, that was my second question. What was the protocol? So thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Next, item 4C, personnel. Steve Z.
Yes, we have a few personnel items to bring to for your approval this evening. The first is one of 2 requests for a leave of absence. The first one is for Karen Wisby. Karen is requesting a leave of absence for the 2007-2008 school year. She was hired in 1986, and she will complete 21 years with the Portsmouth School Department.
Move to accept.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes.
Second is another request for a leave of absence from Melissa Ranks, language arts teacher at the middle school. Melissa is requesting a leave of absence for the 2007-2008 school year. She's been on leave of absence during the 2006-2007 school year following the delivery of her daughter. Melissa was hired in 2001.
Gary.
I'm sorry, I know I asked this before, but after how long of a time frame would they not, like, do they get 2 years or 3, or would it be necessary for them to come back, or
Contractually,
something?
it's 2.
It's 2. So after this, she would have to come back or something else.
Or resign.
Move to accept.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes.
Next, we have a resignation. That is of Kimberly Puglia. Kim has been a math teacher since the 2003-2004 school year. She has been on a leave of absence this school year and had received approval.
Did we all get that
We
one?
don't have that.
Oh,
think we have it.
you don't have that.
We don't have that one.
And that is what I'm passing out to you now.
Thank you so much.
Again, Kim Puglia is was a math teacher at Portsmouth High School and has been on leave this year and had received approval for the leave of absence for the 2007-2008 school year, but has since decided to resign.
Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? It passes.
That's right. And finally, this evening, we have one nomination. That nomination is of Diane Pinkham for our position of the new Career Tech Ed Director, replacing the Pam McCartney's retirement. Diane has a master's in counseling from the University of New Hampshire. She has been a culinary arts instructor with us since 1995. We are very lucky to have her as our new Career Tech director, and she came out head and shoulders above a good field of candidates in an extensive search process.
Move to accept.
Second.
Moved and seconded for Diane Pinkham to be department head. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Any other personnel business to be brought forth?
Nope.
Item D, second reading of the homeless policy.
This is Sherry.
Comes on to you, Sherry.
Okay.
Did we get that in our packet too?
No, it was in
Which
your
was-
previous packet.
right, that's right,
It was in your previous packet. We're on the second reading, and I guess just basically, are there any
Right.
last-minute items to be changed, verbiage or anything?
Mitch, did you have anything that you needed to pass on to that one to Kathleen?
No, I needed to apologize to the group for being a little lax on getting back to Kathleen about the other policy, but I've looked at them and I will email her back. So I apologize for holding those up. I won't hold up this.
Okay, so yes, I would
Okay.
move that we
Move to approve
accept the
second reading of the homeless policy.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 4E, proposal of meeting dates for the 2007-2008 year.
And Mr. Chairman, the locations are not on there because we're still working on that.
Okay, these are just the dates, locations. We know that we will not change basically, although there may be an exception, I've heard in regards to maybe one Channel 22 broadcast on the first of the month because of a conflict later on. But these are the dates and locations to be announced. Any discussion? Jerry?
But yes, but normally the first one of each month
That's
would be
correct.
here
There
at City Council
should be,
chambers.
yep, I've just been notified there may be one date that they need in November, I think. Don't know what it was.
Okay, we're still sticking with one in February and one in April.
Unless the board wishes to change. And that is, one has always thought it's the city charter. It's not truly charter. It is the recommended amount of meetings. That does not mean this board cannot meet more on, these again are, you are paid that, a stipends, and this is what your stipends is based on. are
The
these
number of meetings,
That's correct. You can put in as many as you want.
but this is the minimum number.
This meets, yes, this meets the
So we
minimum.
couldn't say, you know what, in the summertime, why don't we combine July and August? We need to have.
Cannot do that. We have to meet it. Under the city charter, you do have to meet once a month.
Okay.
Each month.
So we could do less.
Move to accept.
You could meet August 1st and combine it maybe.
No.
But this is the minimum amount, and it does not include work sessions, obviously, or budget sessions.
Second.
In second, no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Few people wanted more, I could see it. Committee reports, was asked by Nancy, an update on the Portsmouth listens.
Some of you were here at City Hall on April 30th when Portsmouth Listens had its kickoff for the study circles for the middle school. We have had 170 people sign up. There are 12 study circles, is that correct, Ian? 14 study circles. They're meeting 4 nights a week, so you had to pick one night, and then you got placed in a study circle, and they will meet for the next 4 weeks. And they will report back to the school board and the city council on June 18th, which is a Monday, here at City Hall. And what Ann and I were asked to do as members of the steering committee, and Bob Lister also was on the steering committee, and John Stoker was a big help. Was an enormous help. We helped Portsmouth Listens put together the database, which is on the website, the city website. So if any of you want to see the documents that the study circle participants have, every single document is on the website. So if you go to the city website and you look I think it's the second item that's listed on the website. It says PMS database for study circles or something like that. So if you click onto that, you'll get a list of all of the documents that have been given to the study circle participants. So if you're interested, we put things like the educational narrative for the middle school. We put a copy of the article that we all wrote that was in the paper last November about the middle school concept. We have, for instance, the landfill study summaries. We put in the population figures that that Bob Lister had given us, things like that. There's many documents. So if anybody's interested, you can go and look those up. Each study circle was given a copy of the report that Dan Bisson and Team Design gave to JSAC on January 24th, 2007. It was just too expensive to produce one for each study circle participant. However, it is on the website. The entire report is on the website, but each study circle did get a hard copy of that report. The first two meetings that each study circle has is going to be at PHS. They thought it would be a good idea to let everyone see a brand new high school with a renovation part to it. So the first two meetings are at PHS. The second two meetings are going to be at the middle school, and part of that will be a tour of the middle school. And then there will be two opportunities to walk the Sagamore Creek site. In one of our meetings, we thought it would be a good idea to change the name from Jones Avenue, and we tossed around some different options, and we came up with the Sagamore Creek site. So we're hoping people will no longer say Jones Avenue, but will refer to the other site as the Sagamore Creek site. So there will be two opportunities to walk that site. I don't remember the dates.
The 15th and 17th.
The 15th and the 17th of May.
6:30.
At 6:30. So if anybody wants to go, that's when they're going to be, I know Steve Parkinson in the Public Works Department is helping to facilitate those walks. So if anyone is interested, you can go to that. So I think that's it. I don't know if Ian has anything, or Bob.
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Thank you, Nancy.
Questions for the committee? Seeing none. Any other committee reports? Well, actually, we were asked at the beginning. Financials, item 6.
There are no financials tonight. They'll be presented at the second meeting of the month of May.
One item that we will put back in is agenda items for the upcoming meeting. We are still scheduled at this time to have population count. Is that correct? Demographics.
Is that being set up, or?
Yeah. Is that still being set up? I know we were scheduling
Demographics for,
the population. We had talked about having that in the second meeting in May.
yes, that's right. Yes, we will.
Oh, I think there were two different individuals, or at least their philosophies we wanted to look at.
We
You're
talked
talking
about
about
it.
having them come and talk about
Right.
demographics?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mitch?
I'd like to bring up, not for discussion tonight, but at some point over the summer. I remember I made a request over a year ago for me to step out of my role as a school board member and talk to the board about the larger issues of technology. And I'd like to bring that up again, and I'd like to perhaps schedule something for sometime during the summer.
Mitch, I put you on the spot. Would the second meeting in June work for you?
And what's the date on that?
June
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 26th.
26th.
June 26th?
6th.
Okay.
That way, because there's only the two meetings in July and August, I figure, and we should be, wrapped up with a number of items, so
Okay.
that might work very well.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other? And Steve?
Just on perhaps the next agenda even, I could do a report for the Curriculum Council.
Curriculum Council? Okay. Nance?
Can I just remind Sherry and Carson, we have a 4:30 Policy Committee meeting on Thursday. Did you have that down? Did you have it, Carson, by any chance?
I'm not sure. That's fine, though.
Okay.
Clay?
At the next meeting, I would like to give a report on the Safe Routes to School Committee.
I saw that in the paper.
Thank you. Any other business to be brought forth? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's